Broadcasting from the Vancouver Convention Center in British Columbia, Solutions Review is on location at the FME User Conference 2022, the peak of data integration, brought to you by Safe Software.
We're here at the FME User Conference in Vancouver 2022, and we are joined all the way from the Netherlands, Dave Laurier, COO, Avineon Tenzing, and Pim Christiaans, the technical lead for FME. I'm happy you guys are here because this has been a really interesting experience with so many international partners. Mm-hmm. And you guys are a great example of a company that has been with FME for how long now?
Oh yeah, I didn't count the years.
A lot of years?
For a long time.
It seems like almost all the partners we've talked to have been around for a long time and been with FME.
Yeah, that's true.
Time.
I think we're a little bit sort of the junior maybe in the group. So I'm thinking that we started with FME probably like 9 years ago, that we sort of formalized the partnership. We used it before, but 9 years ago we got into a real partnership with Safe Software.
So talk me through that. So how did that come about, and what were the drivers that led to you wanting to be an FME Safe partner?
Yeah, I can tell. Well, at the time we were a consulting company that really wanted to focus their efforts, because the speed at which technology advances, you really need to focus your efforts. The platforms, the technology is growing so fast, and the platforms are becoming so broad, feature-wise. So we said, okay, we were already doing geographic information systems and using the ArcGIS platform from Esri, from the US. And when we were doing projects for customers, we were often using FME to do migrations or conversions of the GIS data. And at some point we found out in the local market that there was also a need for FME professional services. So that's basically how it started. And then we said, okay, then we also want to sort of formalize the partnership with Safe Software. When we were doing stuff just in our own projects in-house, it was fine that we just had the software and were a regular user. But when we really started to become one of the pillars of our professional services business, we obviously wanted to strengthen that ecosystem with a solid partnership. So that's how it started.
Well, and it sounds like, having heard in the keynote earlier the growth that Safe Software is going through right now, it sounds like the partners are growing. I've certainly heard that you're growing. What are some of the drivers, I'll ask you, Pim, what are some of the drivers that you're seeing customers opting for something as sophisticated and specific as FME?
Well, data integration, of course. We see a lot of customers that use different kinds of software and also different kind of data formats. And FME is a great tool to integrate all that data into one system. So we use FME at a lot of different customers in the Netherlands, utilities, contractors, local governments, but also big government entities. And we assemble all that data into their systems and make really cool products with it. And also do a lot of automation, so take out the handiwork and do everything automated with FME.
And that's being driven by your team?
Yes, that's driven by my team, but also, of course, our entire company. So
sure,
I'm responsible for the FME part, but we also have a group of people specialized in the Esri software, like Dave mentioned. But we work together all the time because, of course, FME is integration, so it also integrates with Esri.
Well, and it opens up a lot of possibilities that ultimately lead to a lot of support opportunities. I'm curious, do you find that? So, my sense is that a lot of folks that are using FME now are, certainly the spatial element brings a lot of vertical concentration around utilities, governments. Mm-hmm. Which leads me to think that they probably are also more inclined to want larger support programs as well. And that's why they're looking for partners like yourself.
Yeah, that's correct. I think the governments and utilities are heavy users of spatial data because they have a lot of assets that are out there somewhere in the field that they want to map or know the whereabouts. So for a utility, those can be different things. Those can be pipelines for a water utility, but it can also be electricity poles and those kind of things for an electric utility. But for a municipality, it can be information about where do we have which traffic signs and where are the traffic lights and where are the crossings and all that sort of data. So there you see that FME and our other sort of stronghold is the Esri ArcGIS platform and the partnership with Esri we have. That sort of FME is sort of the fuel for all this sort of analysis that is taking place, because you cannot do analysis without data, and you cannot do analysis most of the time without data coming from all different systems to combine that. Combining we do with the common denominator in that data, which is often location, because most of the things on our planet have a location. So all of these data sets, although they're sort of scattered all around and have a different purpose, they can be combined with this common denominator of location. So,
Well, and this
so
is
yeah.
what I think is so interesting about FME is that it really is. It's a next level of data integration. I mean, I think there are a lot of companies that are doing data integration in a very rudimentary way. A lot of homegrown things. You probably come across it all the time. And now they want to integrate data that they might not have been able to do any other way, but through FME. I mean, give me an example of some of the. You're a best practices expert. I mean, what are some of the kind of notable implementations that you've seen?
Well, I think one of the biggest projects is also the one I will be presenting today is about data integration at ProRail, which is one of our, which is the Dutch railway company. So in the Netherlands we have a company that manages the tracks and all the assets around the tracks, and other companies that use the tracks to drive around people or other things on the tracks. And with those assets comes also great responsibility, because they also have to make sure that trains don't bump into each other or accidents happening. They also have to make a schedule for trains to arrive at certain times at platforms. So we use FME to read that data from different sources at ProRail, enrich that data with all kinds of location information. So for example, a signal that's at a certain point on a certain track, so that they can use that in, for example, their train navigation systems at the companies that drive the trains around. So that's, I think, a great example of FME, because FME is in between everything and that whole integration at ProRail. So that's really cool.
Yeah, no, that's great that you're presenting, because I think those are the kind of projects that an event like this really is all about, is getting people together to hear those types of stories in much more interpersonal ways, rather than trying to do everything virtually, which is all that we've been trying to do for the past 2 years. So it's very nice to be back in a kind of a real live event. So tell me a little bit about where you're finding traction within the Netherlands. It sounds like governments or agencies or utilities.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you seeing in terms of the growth opportunities?
Well, our growth is at the moment predominantly at the utilities and at municipalities and central government. In the utilities, Esri has launched a new Esri utility network model after many years. So people have been anxiously waiting for that to be launched, and well, that happened a couple of years ago. It's super complex because you need to sort of redesign your whole information model, and that's where FME, of course, is just a very nifty, handy tool to convert those information models and get data out of your original system into the future system that you're building up before you actually make the switch. And we've already serviced a couple of customers in that area at utilities with the utility network model. So in Europe, we're like an expert there. Also have the certification from both Esri and Safe Software. So that's something we're really investing in. At the same time, also at municipalities, you see the tremendous amount of different applications that they have there and all the data. Well, you and I, as a user of their services, we no longer want to wait for 3 weeks or 4 months like we did in the past, because we have gotten used that you can just order things online and it's being delivered tomorrow. So why do I have to wait 3 weeks if I want to have a building permit or other things? You know, why does it need to take so long? So integrating all that information so that a municipality can make the right decision faster to satisfy all of the inhabitants in that municipality. I think that there's a lot of possibilities to improve, let's say, the service of government agencies towards the general public.
I'm going to ask you both the same question, and I'll ask you first. Around advice you would give for folks who are thinking about making that decision that you just described, right? So they're getting pressure to get to that next level of service or delivery, or what would you provide for advice to an organization that's considering trying to take their integration to the next level and trying to ultimately build a better system for their constituency?
I think standards and consistency, because that gives you the opportunity as an FME user, for example, to create your processes entirely dynamic. And at that point, FME is getting really fun, because you can do almost everything very compact and very fast and very smart, and then you can take your entire integration to the next level. And like Dave mentioned, then you can actually provide data within hours or maybe days maximum, but then everything goes to that next level of speed and performance, and that's really what you need. You really need a good basis to work on, because if the data you're getting every day is going to be different, then you still have to spend a lot of time to make that data better. So,
Dave, same question to you. What would you offer for advice?
Well, I think I want to sort of add on to the advice of Pim. Pim was talking about, let's say, the operational aspect. And I think one of the things that is also very important for our customers is sort of the speed at which you deliver then the solution or the changes that they need, if they have new systems or they have new needs. And I think one of the big strengths of FME is that it's a no-code system. Because also, we often find customers that have C# developers or Java developers or other developers, and they're thinking, hey, I have this developer sitting here, so it's cheaper for me to have them develop these integrations. But actually it means that you have to develop all sorts of input and output readers and writers yourself. So then you suddenly have to find out what the AutoCAD, Autodesk data format looks like, and learn to work with all of the difficulties that come with it. So you spend a lot of time, I believe, on the wrong things. And the beauty of FME is that, the people at Safe Software have already done the heavy lifting with all of those different protocols and data formats. And you can really focus on, let's say, the sort of information flow that you want to build, the workflow that you want to build, instead of everything around it. So people sometimes think they're smart then when they say, okay, I've got these developers sitting around here, so I'll build something in Java or I'll build something in C# or whatever coding language. But actually I think, 95% of the time, in the end, they're wrong. Because you cannot really compete with this no-code platform.
You'll never get the breadth of functionality that you'll get out of a platform like the FME platform.
And building it the first time, let's say this sort of reader for this Autodesk file, again, to go back to that example, Yeah, okay, then you have done that, but then Autodesk comes with a new version, and then you have to update your code again, and that's the beauty. That's what the people at SAFE are doing for us. So we don't have to worry about that. We are worrying about what does the customer want or need to achieve with their data. How do we juggle that data, mingle that data in order for it to be effective, so that they can make the right decisions or inform the public or whatever task they have at hand.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks very much for coming by. It sounds like you guys are having a great run, certainly a great run with FME, but also just well done on all the growth, and I'm sure the future looks very bright. And we hope you enjoy the rest of the show. We certainly are enjoying our time here in Vancouver. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. And say hi to Don and Dale.